When I moved here, Joe Ned was over, and he was real like that. I did some history on it, and in 1492 in Columbus, sailed the ocean blue. His first mate was Joe Ned Dean, doesn't show up in the photographs from that time. And when Washington crossed the Delaware, the first mate in the back of that boat going out orders was Joe Ned Dean. He lived real close to the paint you can see him back there behind the flag. But in 1977, the Texas legislature, in its infinite wisdom, maybe one or two times, created 258th Judicial District Court. They also created 258th Judicial District Attorney's Office. Dolph Briscoe was the governor. Trinity County had sort of been the stepchild of the district courts in the area. There was the 12th District Court that was out of Huntsville, and it came over here every once in a while, the District Attorney's Office in Huntsville, but also had the criminal prosecution responsibility. And they didn't come over here all that often either. And there was the second 9th Judicial District out of Conroe that also had jurisdiction over San Francisco County and Polk County, and they gave it Trinity County. So at that point in time, when the legislature met in 1977, there were 2 district judges here and 1 DA's office. But Mr. Evans is not here today. Mr. Bell is here. He can testify about how Trinity County didn't get a whole lot of respect from law enforcement and from the judges and DA's office. So they created the 258th Judicial District Attorney's Office and the 258th Judicial District Court. And the DA's office covered Trinity County, Polk County, San Jacinto County, and the 258 likewise covered those 3 counties. Now, I don't know if it's because everybody with any kind of authority or law license in the county's first name was Joe. Dolph Briscoe appointed Joanne Price as the district attorney, and Dolph Briscoe appointed Joanne Dean as the district judge, and then Joe Warner Bell got appointed county judge, because at that time, Joe Ned had been the county judge. So he's listening. It may look like he's sleeping, but he's listening. I found that out a little early on when I would think after lunch he was sleeping. He would promptly rule and overrule my motions and objections, so he was listening. But nonetheless, he got appointed to the judge. And so for the first time in many years, Trinity County had an acting, active district attorney and an active judge. Now, if you go even further back in history, there's a story about a guy that was sort of a judge, and he made this ruling on these 2 moms that were arguing about whose kid was. And they started to name that book in the Bible, Joe Ned Dean, but they ended up calling it Solomon. But nonetheless, Joe Ned ended up with a reputation of being a very fair judge, always trying to find the middle ground. I was arguing a case in the Beaumont Court of Appeal back in the mid-later 80s, 1980s, go back in decades. And one of the justices asked, said, "Who's the judge in this case?" And I said, "Joe Ned Dean." One of the other justices said, "Oh, Judge Solomon." So he was well known outside of Trinity County for trying to resolve these cases. But Judge Dean stayed for 20 years. This used to be the courtroom, and the bench was over here. Before the big remodeling, there was those partition type ceilings. And it was always sort of interesting or entertaining to watch the lawyers from Easton and Dallas coming here. And John ended up on the bench. And sometimes he couldn't speak back up on the bench, and he had to spit too, and sometimes he spit his tobacco. And people thought, "Well, where did we go? Why are we here?" But most people, when they were finished in this court, felt like they got a fair shake. And that's one of the things that always impressed me. I mean, he didn't have any hesitancy most of the time saying, "Oh, we'll shut up and sit down." But he at least listened for most of what I was saying. this case, where you're all at, and then, the lawyer sort of say some things, and before too long, most of these cases got resolved by agreement. So, he's been retired now for quite a while, and he was a visiting judge. He was a district attorney here for a couple of terms after Joe Price died in 2003. And so I just think it's time that at least we hang his picture up with all these other esteemed, former people. So that's why we're here. And we turn it over to Mr. Shaw. I think we have some words from Mr. Bell, who is dressed up for Halloween, and yes,
all right, well, I do want to start by thanking everybody for being here. Joe Ned's got a special place in my heart, and a special place in some of your hearts, and it's a day that's well deserved and long overdue, and so I do want to thank everybody for being here for this day. I'm going to start off mine with comparing Joe Ned with somebody that neither Joe Ned or that person is probably going to like the comparison, but they don't know what they're alike. I think I told them both they're a little bit alike. And that's Commissioner Smith back there and Joe Ned. And I'll tell you the comparison for these two is they both have the county's best interest at heart. And I believe that with Mr. Smith, when he's making those decisions and telling me no down there in the Commissioner's Court, I don't have to put the word yes up there so he knows how to say it sometimes, but I think the county's interest in his best heart, and I know for a fact that Mr. Dean, I've served as his ADA for 3 years, and then been close with him ever since. So I know when he was a DA, he didn't spend the county's money. He would spend his own money traveling, whatnot. He wouldn't ask the county for money back. He never asked the commissioners for more money. He was real tight, but that's because he spent this county's money like it was coming out of his own wallet, and that's because he loves the county. He's always been about Trinity County. 78 years he's been here, and just a few years in Austin. I don't know why he chose that school, but a few years in Austin. With the exception of that, he's been here. He cares about this county. That's why he gave his life, his whole professional life to the county. And I'm glad we're here to recognize that. So, talking about his service, back to the county. I've got a few notes here. Even today when we talk, and we'll talk 2 or 3 times a week, it's 50-60% of those conversations all wind up with, how's the county doing? How are we coming on the jail? How are the finances doing? He's always concerned about Trinity County. He loves the county. Any of y'all that know him, talk to him every day, you're going to know that's what he's concerned with. I didn't even spend a lot of time with him when he was on the bench. I got here in 2009 and started working for him. He retired from the bench at that time, but and then when I took office in 2013, he retired, he became a visiting judge. Then we became business partners in 2016, and so you can't have your business partner and be your judge, so we didn't get to work together a lot, but just a brief window we did. And I remember, and it was sort of at the beginning, the 258 didn't have a judge, and so they filled in with visiting judges like Judge Dean, and I remember some of those defense attorneys, they were raising, they didn't like it. They didn't like that I just got done working for doing it, and I was now the DA and he was now the judge. And they didn't like it for a very short time. They soon realized, just like Travis said, that he tries to be fair. All the time he tries to be fair, but sometimes somebody's fair is different than another person's definition of fair, right? And so I think Joe Ned maybe was really fair with those defense attorneys, and they quit their griping, right? And I thought about the lyrics from the Jerry Reed song. She got the gold mine, I got the shaft, right? So I sat up here and you got some rulings from Joe Ned that I didn't like so much, and the lyrics go like this. They split it right down the middle, and they got the better half. So that's kind of how I felt, But, there's no hard feelings, There's never been hard feelings. I love Mr. Dean with all my heart. So, is the, oh, you're gonna hear some words from, in a minute. I guess Joe Collins got a piece of paper in his hand. Are you gonna read Mr. Evans's?
Yes, sir.
I'll get there in a second. But yeah, he kind of said the same thing about his service as a judge. During his service as a DA, I told you I saw where his heart was. His heart was with the county. His heart was still being fair. He was the fairest DA I've ever seen. By all accounts and by my own what I saw. So, but beyond the service to the county, personally, I wanted to speak about him real quick. And, of course, I wouldn't be here. He hired me to be his replacement. I worked for him for 3 years, so I wouldn't be here without him. Don't tell him where I'd be. Don't tell him what I'd be doing. But he sought me out, and a lot of elected officials in the room, and see maybe retired elected officials. Just that sort of. It's not high, sort of. But retired, some of the elected officials that retired in my time here, you care. I know Doug Page is this way. You care about who's coming in after you. You care about the job. Your heart and soul's in this job. You just don't want to leave it in any hands. And so, Joe did try me out, I guess he liked me. Here I am today. But his heart and soul was sure in this job. He didn't want to leave just anybody in here. And I think Travis actually had to shop before me. He wasn't ready for it. But so I'm glad for that. I'm here. So you always worry about who you're leaving behind. And Joe Ned, one of his favorite sayings is, "You take up the cross." So I took up the cross, took his spot over here, and I love this job, and now I know what it's like to be an elected official. I love the place you're at, and he certainly has that. So, but even beyond our professional relationship, in some ways, Joe Ned's like a second dad to me. I talk to him more than I talk to him home. He's, like I said, we've been business partners. He helped me out a whole lot. Didn't have to take me under his wing as an assistant. Didn't have to include me in his business dealings. It turned out well for us. And, see a few of our partners in the room. So, anyway, he's helped through a dark time in life. Advice-wise, support-wise, he gave me a place to live for a while. And so, I'm just honored to be up here to honor the man who's done so much for me and has a special place. And, y'all, he deserves this. He really, really deserves this. His heart's in this, and he doesn't think he does. But, y'all, at the end of the day, let him know how much y'all feel about him. Let him know that he does deserve this. So I'm just honored to be up here and to be able to do this for Mr. Dean. So with that, that's what I have to say. And Joe Collins, you're up.
Yes, sir. I'm okay. What's great is they give you a letter to read it. Thank God Joe Scott didn't have a whole lot of words for Joe did. All right, but keep in mind, I'm reading Joe Scott's letter here. I would never call Miss Evans this, but it's in the letter, so that's what we're going to go with, okay? I apologize for not being present, but Margie and I had planned on being out of town at this time for many months prior to the date being set. The honor of hanging a portrait in the courtroom is long overdue. During your service as district judge for Trinity County, I was here in court for literally hundreds of times, and never once did I observe a decision that you made that I thought was driven by meanness, pettiness, or vindictiveness. Big brother, I don't know who you said that, man.
I don't know.
Okay, all right, go back.
I object.
You were cordial, respectful to all that came before you, the participants, the lawyers, the jurors, the law enforcement officers, even the spectators, from the lowest of society to the highest. Your decisions were measured and fair. You worked hard. You were consistent in your rulings. The citizens of Trinity County, as well as Polk and San Jacinto counties, were well shared by your judgeship. I would personally thank you, congratulate you, and wish you the best. Just Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Dave.
Well, we've had a couple folks want to come up, and I also speak a little bit about Judge Dean today, and I know Judge Trapp is one. Joe Warner, if you want to, or Casey, or anybody else kind of mull it around, and once Judge Trapp is done speaking, we'll give you a chance to come up here and share everything. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Well, I've known Joe Dan for over 40 years. When I got to be a baby lawyer, a county attorney over in Kansas County, got to practice in front of him. Then when they created the DA's job, got that, practiced in front of him as DA, and had a lot of civil cases in front of him. And I agree, he is one of the fairest judges you've ever seen around. He's also a hard-working judge. When he says he's going to be there, he'll be there. Be there for as long as it takes to try that case, and have that hearing. Now, having the perspective I do, in 95, they created the 411th District Court, which serves the same counties that Joe Ed did. I got the appointment. So he and I became cohorts, or partners in crime, I guess, or something like that. But anyway, we always laughed and said that we showed up at the same place at the same time with his schedule, because we have the 3 counties. And anyway, we rocked along, had a great relationship, and Joe Ed left the bench. Eventually, he became a district attorney here in Session County after Joe Price's death and going through the election process. So I always thought that, that's got to be tough going from being a district judge for 20 plus years, and now you're a DA and you're going to do crime cases. And so, wondering how that was going to go. So I think maybe his first trial was over here in the courtroom, a murder trial, I think. And Scott Poggin was the defense attorney, and Joe Ned had a witness on the stand, and he was asking the witness some questions, and Mr. Poggin stood up and objected hearsay. And Joe Ned, I missed the looked at him and said, overruled. I think that's my fault. And so I always thought, that's pretty tough and everything like that, so go for it. And then I left the bench at the end of 2012, and what happened, they needed a DA again over San County, so I became DA again for a couple terms over there. And I think maybe the first trial with Judge Jones or whoever, that I got in there and he was trial and somebody made an objection, I overruled it from the bar there too. Yeah. And so I said, well, now I know nobody in Georgia did that. It's a pleasure working with Joe Ned. He's been a friend. We've spent countless hours together at conferences and riding around here, showing me all the great Trinity County and telling me all the stories he's told. I can't repeat a lot of them here. The statute of limitations hasn't run yet on some of them. So your nephews are shaking their head there. But he's been a great friend, a great mentor, and it's a privilege and honor just to know him.
Thank you, Judge.
I got to tell one quick funny on Judge Trapp and Judge Dean, or Joe Ned. When he was the DA and I was an ADA, and Judge Trapp was the judge. One day Joe Ned worked out the plea. He generally worked the 411, I generally worked the 258, but I was over there that day. And Tommy was our Miranda at that time, our paralegal, and Joe Ned worked the plea out, and Tommy said, Puddin', I need you to go do this paperwork. And Puddin, big Tommy here, left and went and got the paperwork done. And when she came back in, Judge Trapp from the bench yelled across the courtroom, Puddin', is the paperwork ready? So since then, Tommy's been Puddin', so we can call Tommy Puddin' and call him okay with it. Did anybody else want to speak? I mentioned a couple people.
Oh, just a brief comment. I'm not dressed for Halloween. I'm dressed in honor of his alma mater. His colors are burnt orange and white. And the reason that we went to the University of Texas Law School is because it was the best law school in the state of Texas at the time. And that's where I met Joe Ned. We've probably seen each other sporting events, but he was a Rotary guy and I was a Trinity guy. But he came up to me, he was a senior law and I was a freshman law, and introduced himself. And since then, I've been proud to know Joe Ned did.
Thank you, Joe. One more, Ms. Casey, Judge.
Judge Trapp is correct. It was in front of me that he ruled on an objection. On the front side, he was correct. I ruled the same way. Joe Ned has been a great friend for the time that I was on the bench. He was very happy to call and tell me when I was wrong. And then he mad at me for a couple of days to me again, and explain why I was wrong, and sometimes he was correct, and sometimes I was still correct. But years ago, I was driving to the annual conference, always in September, it was somewhere around Dallas, I don't remember where. John Ed called me and said, "Where are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm way to the annual conference." He said, "No, where are you at this exact moment?" I said, "I'm almost to Huntsville." He said, "There's a Mexican restaurant in Centerville, and show up, I'll see you there." That's all the information he gave me. So, I went to Centerville, I found the yellow Mexican restaurant, and we had lunch, and thankfully he paid. And then we made our way to the annual conference, and I think he probably gave me some good advice that day that I don't remember now, but I'm sure it was good at the time. But y'all had a wonderful public servant in him for many years and will continue, I'm sure, to provide any service that he can to Trinity County. Just ask him, he'll be glad to give you his opinion.
That's for sure. If his opinion is right. So, yeah, real quick, I bet, go back on what I said, I bet he paid for that lunch out of his own pocket, even though the state's gonna pay the judges when they're working, going to a conference, I bet Joe Ned didn't pay for it out of his own pocket, but, if there's not anybody else that wants to speak, you don't have to be an attorney to speak if you want.
I'd just like to say one thing. I've known him ever since I've been here. And, respect is earned. And he has had everybody has respect for children. And I want to wish him the best.
Thank you. Miranda?
Oh, I'm not speaking.
Oh, okay. I guess, if no one else has got anything,
I'm afraid I don't have much nice to say, so.
she's getting the unveiling ready, she's got a crew going, and that's Joe Ned's nieces and nephews up there, Perry, Piper, Jet, and Kate, and
Maybe you need to bring it over so the judge can see what's
Jonette, would you like to come up here to be in the photos? So it was really hard to surprise Jonette with this. It was hard to get a picture because apparently he doesn't like to be in photos. And so we all worked hard to get this together. And I love Jonette. He is a pain in the ass. And he is mean to me consistently. But I love him. And so I thank everybody for being here. And 1, 2, 3.
what are those years of service up there? Can anybody see them?
73 to county attorney to August 31st of 77, and then judge from September 1 of 77 to the end of 98, and DA from I believe April of 04 to end of 12, December 31st, 12. I want to thank everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. I mean, I don't deserve near the accolades that you gave me. Mr. Judge Trapp, I appreciate you getting this thing started. I was kind of reluctant to get a picture of because if you look, there are not many of them around. In fact, I guess I'm the only one. I hope that's not a sign. I plan on doing that. But I appreciate it. Benny, it's a pleasure to leave you as the prosecutor. That story that Judge Trapp was telling, they were having a lot of killings over in the quarters in Trinity. And that was the first case, I think, first criminal jury trial I had. It was in December of 04. And the defendant was Shabazz. And after that, and evidently Judge Trapp agreed with my overruling the defense lawyer, but he got convicted and he stacked the sentence on him, so he will have to be there at least half of about 45, 50 years. I don't remember. If anybody got 60 on one count, 40 on one, I'm not sure. But again, what you're talking about is Judge Trapp and Scott's letter and Joe Bell's letter about being fair. When I was a freshman in law school, we had our whole semester. You took the first semester, and most of the courses were, there were 3 of them that were both semester: property, torts, and contracts. And then you had introduction and passed during Christmas. Back then, they didn't take in the first semester before Christmas. You got out about the middle of December, you got 2 weeks off, you came back right after the first of the year, and you usually took your finals about the second or third week of January. And during Christmas, I was up at my dad's younger brother, Ned Dean, Uncle Ned, and he said, "What's the matter with you? You don't seem, you're kind of worried." I said, "Well, I'm worried about those finals I got to take." He said, "Well, hell, boy," said, "the law's supposed to be based on what's right and wrong, and you got sense enough to know what's right and what's wrong." After that, I kind of relaxed, and I didn't wear out as many books after that. I went to bed, didn't worry too much about the deal. But it's been an honor. Trinity County has been great to me. Roaston's been good to me. I'm not too proud of our city. I don't know that our roads are as good as they were in the 50s. We don't have a bunch of tax base. Everything's gone up. When I started, came here as county attorney, the salary was $700 a month. When I wound up, I think I was getting $800. Back then, district judge's salary was $34,500 a year. I thought I had died and gone to heaven. And so that's the reason I might be a little more conservative than some of you younger people. Y'all don't remember the times, and I know we've had inflation, and I know that $34,000 or $800 a month wouldn't go very far now. It's really been my honor. Danny, I appreciate the words you said also. Judge Casey, Judge Jones. No, I was a little surprised when she got elected. And then after that, I thought she did pretty good. And I told her that. I think we might have fell out over at Auditors. I think that was the only thing we fell out over. But anyway.
He's over it now, I think. I think you're over it now. You've talked to me again.
Well, you know, her son's a really good guy, but I still don't like her. Miranda, thank you. And the county is in great shape. Dee?
Yes, sir.
You don't always get, just because they get indicted doesn't mean they're guilty. You've got to know, it's supposed to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Thank y'all all so much for coming.
No, Miranda, you never get up for a defense lawyer, you have a different attitude. But all of us need to remember that if it wasn't for the grace of God, we might be the defendant. There are not very many of us that have been perfect all our lives. And we've all made mistakes. I appreciate you coming over, ladies, Sherry, and your counterpart, the 12th, or Judge Ridley is court coordinator, and also, I guess, what are y'all, court coordinator and court administrator? Okay. We just got, I think they just have a court coordinator here, is that right, Terry? And listen, it's really, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. Mr. Truss, Mr. Smith, Mr. Parks, and I don't guess Lyle's here. He might be holding church or something today. I'm sorry? Mike, I mean, I'm sorry, well, Mike, excuse me, Mike, instead of, yeah. Mr. and Ms. Yates, I appreciate y'all driving over. Mr. Winston, I hate for you to go to this trouble. Mr. and Ms. Oliver, thank all of you for coming. It's been a real honor, and I've been very fortunate, very lucky. Thank you.